So Mitch McConnell on the Senate floor earlier today basically threatened the Democratic Party over discussions they've been having around abolishing the filibuster. And he basically said that he's going to enact all the most right-wing policies he can the next time the Republicans have the majority.
Nobody serving in this chamber can even begin to imagine what a completely scorched earth Senate would look like. As soon as Republicans wound up back in the saddle, we wouldn't just erase every liberal change that hurt the country. We'd strengthen America with all kinds of conservative policies with zero input from the other side. How about this? Nationwide right to work for working Americans. Defunding Planned Parenthood in sanctuary cities on day one. A whole new era of domestic energy production. Sweeping new protections for conscience and the right to life of the unborn. Concealed carry reciprocity in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. Massive hardening of security on our southern border.
And so you can see there, Mitch McConnell is basically saying, look, it's going to be scorched earth. We're going to enact policies against unions, against women. We're going to make, green energy go away. We're going to emphasize carbon-based energy. We're going to do all the things Democrats don't want, and you're going to be able to do nothing about it because the filibuster is gone. And this is not Mitch McConnell from a position of strength. It sounds like, oh, he's being tough. He's like, just you wait. We're going to get you when we get power back. But this is like a wolf trapped in a corner, whimpering and snapping out of desperation. And Democrats need to call McConnell's bluff. The filibuster should go. It needs to go. We know that the Republicans increasingly know, given their loss in November, that they cannot win majority support. They can't do it. They can only win based on minority rule and based specifically around rules that basically rig the game in their favor, especially around gerrymandering and controlling who gets to vote and who doesn't get to vote. We see that. We 100% see that. The Republicans last won the popular vote for president back in 2004. Before that, 1988. They haven't won a majority of the congressional popular vote since like 1996. Basically, in my entire adult life, they've only won the popular vote at any federal jurisdictional level one time. They don't do it. They don't have enough support from enough people in enough parts of the country to actually represent more people than the Democrats do. It's the simple reality. And so they now realize the last thing, they have gerrymandering in the House, but the last real thing they have is the filibuster to prevent the actual will of the people from being enacted. And that's why they're freaking out. The filibuster is also, it's not just a discussion of, the filibuster going versus the status quo. That's not really the discussion. The discussion is the filibuster going versus democracy going. Because we see what's happening in Georgia and in Arizona and in other close, swing states that narrowly gave the Democrats Senate seats and presidential electoral college votes. The Republicans in those states, where they have a lot of state level control still, are using those majorities to enact anti-voter policies. That's what they're doing. In places like Arizona, they're ripping the mask off and saying, guys, look, it's the quality of voter that matters, not the quantity. Quantity is fine, I guess, but quality is more important. And you guys know what they mean by quality. They mean older, they mean richer, they mean whiter. They generally mean more conservative. And if you're one of those things, you're a quality voter. But if you're younger or poorer or racialized or liberal in any kind of way, you're a quantity voter and you're not as important. You can see what they're doing. You can see it. And the only way to push back against it is through national legislation around voting rights. That's why H.R. 1 is so important, and that's why that needs to pass through the Senate. But it's not going to with the filibuster. It's guaranteed not to with the filibuster. I mean, you might even not get enough votes, maybe, who knows, but with the filibuster, it's a guaranteed no pass. I don't expect the filibuster to go, but I worry because, Mitch McConnell can just do all the evil things he's saying. He can just get rid of the filibuster if he wants at some later date. He can threaten about it now, but he can just do it later. Democrats should rip the Band-Aid off. But the problem is that, people like Manchin and Sinema and even Biden don't want to get rid of the filibuster, but they need to be reached. They need to be reached and explained to that if you don't, Republicans will fundamentally tear down democracy brick by brick. And look, the one hope that maybe we have is on filibuster reform, right? Manchin and people like him have said, I'm not getting rid of the filibuster, but I would be open to making the filibuster more painful, which is to say, you can't just say you're filibustering and go home. You actually have to stand on the Senate floor and filibuster, actually stand there and filibuster for hours, for days potentially, to actually hold up debate. And once that's over, because it likely would eventually end, then the vote happens, and then it's just, it's a pure majority vote. The 60 vote threshold actually isn't to pass the legislation. It's 60 votes to end debate, and then it's just whoever side has more votes wins, like in the House, where they don't have the filibuster. So this is a big moment. Democrats need to call this bluff. I don't know if they will, but they should, because democracy is on the line. Republicans realize they are a party of minority rule, and taking away the filibuster is one of the biggest things you can do to ensure that the average American actually gets policies they want. If the Democrats want to do that, filibuster elimination is the one biggest thing they can do. Make it happen and punish Mitch McConnell.